Yosom Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho. To the Blessed One, the Lord, who fully attained perfect enlightenment, Savakato Yena Bhagavata Dhammom. To the teaching which he expounded so well, Supatipano Yasa Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho. And to the Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well, Tamayang Bhagavantang Sadamang Sasangang. To these, the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, Imehi Saka Reyatarang Aropite Apipujayama. We render with offerings our rightful homage. Sadhu no Bande Bhagava Suchira Parinibhutopi. It is well for us that the Blessed One, having attained liberation, Pachima Janatanuka Pamanasa, still had compassion for later generations. Ime sakare dukhatapana karabhute patikanhatu. May these simple offerings be accepted. Amhakang digaratang hitaya sukhaya, for our long-lasting benefit and for the happiness it gives us. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava. The Lord, the perfectly enlightened and blessed One, Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi. I render homage to the Buddha, the Blessed One. Savakato Bhagavata Dhammom. The teaching so completely explained by him, Dhammang Namasami. I bow to the Dhamma. Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho. The Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well, Sanghang Namami. I bow to the Sangha. Annamayang Buddhassa Bhagavato Pubhava Kanamakaranga Se.
Let us pay preliminary homage to the Buddha.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened One. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened One. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened One. Annamayang Buddha Bituting Aroma Se.
Now let us chant in praise of the Buddha.
Yo so Tathagato Arahang Samma Sambuddho. The Tathagata is the pure one, the perfectly enlightened one. Vicca Charana Sampano. He is impeccable in conduct and understanding. Sugato, the accomplished one. Lokavidu, the knower of the worlds. Anuttaro Purisa Dhammasarati. He trains perfectly those who wish to be trained. Sata Deva Manusanang. He is teacher of gods and humans. Buddho Bhagava. He is awake and holy. Yo imang lokang satevakang samarakang sabramakang. In this world with its gods, demons, and kind spirits, Sasamana Brahmani Pachang Sateva Manusang Sayang Abinya Sachikatava Pavedesi. Its seekers and sages, celestial and human beings, he has by deep insight revealed the truth. Yo Dhamma Dese Siyadi Kalayanang Mache Kalayanang Pariyosana Kalayanang. He has pointed out the Dhamma, beautiful in the beginning, beautiful in the middle, beautiful in the end. Satang Sapiyanjanang Kevala Paripurnang Parisudang Brahmacharyang Pakasesi. He has explained the spiritual life of complete purity in its essence and conventions. Tamahang Bhagavan Tang Abhipujayami. Tamahang Bhagavan Tang Sirasa Namami. I chant my praise to the Blessed One. I bow my head to the Blessed One. Annamayang Dhamma Bituting Aroma Se.
Now let us chant in praise of the Dhamma.
Yo so Soakato Bhagavata Dhammo. The Dhamma is well expounded by the Blessed One. Sanditiko, apparent here and now. Akaliko, timeless. Ehipasiko, encouraging investigation. Opanaiko, leading inwards. Bhajadang veditabo vinyuhi, to be experienced individually by the wise. Tamahang Dhammang Abhipujayami. Tamahang Dhammang Sirasa Namami. I chant my praise to this teaching. I bow my head to this truth. Annamayang Sangha Bituting Aroma Se.
Now let us chant in praise of the Sangha.
Yo so Supatipano Bhagavato Savaka Sangho. They are the Blessed One's disciples who have practiced well. Ujjupatipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho, who have practiced directly. Nyayapatipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho, who have practiced insightfully. Samicipatipano bhagavato sāvaka sangho, those who practice with integrity. Yaditha chatari purisa yukani yata purisa pugala. That is the four pairs, the 8 kinds of noble beings. Esa bhagavato sāvaka sangho. These are the Blessed One's disciples. Ahunayo, such ones are worthy of gifts. Pahunayo, worthy of hospitality. Dakinayo, worthy of offerings. Anjali Karaniyo, worthy of respect. Anuttarang punyaketang lokatsa, they give occasion for incomparable goodness to arise in the world. Tamahang sangang apipu chayami, tamahang sangang sirasa namami. I chant my praise to this Sangha. I bow my head to this Sangha.
reflecting on the here and now, the way it is, body's like this, sitting, just thinking this thought, reminding myself, awareness of the body becomes conscious, recognizing it's the sitting, the experience, the reality of sitting is like this. And the breath is like this. So this is using the way it is in the present moment before it becomes personal. It's just being aware of the body as it sitting is like this. So the way it is, or it's like this, is skillful means, upaya, to just notice. Because we could sit here and not notice. We could travel to China and go around the planet 100 times in our minds and not know the way it is for one moment. So this is like awareness, establishing, coming together, composing, reminding yourself. It's reminding yourself, not, to not just wander about in your mind, but pay attention. The body is like this. The breath is like this. Then notice the mood or state of mind you're experiencing right now is like this. Sleepy or bright or happy, sad, uncertain, or just, maybe there's no name for it, but it is like this. Maybe you can't find a proper word to clearly describe your emotional state at this moment, but you can recognize it. You don't need a word to see. I mean, you just, as you trust your awareness, the mood, the citta at this time is like this. So this, the way it is, as is, so one time Ajahn Buddhadas said that if he was to be, he stated that if he was to be put on a desert island, cut off from everything else, then he would, the only thing he would be helpful in that situation would be a kind of, like he'd have maybe an amulet around his neck would say, and it would say, the way it is. He wouldn't need to take the whole Tripitaka and the So trust this, but recognize it's not your construction as a personal, like I know the way it is. It's just natural, isn't it? This reflective observing of your own body at this moment. Nothing esoteric or highly advanced or special about it. But when we're caught in our own views and opinions and we're just blinded by our Sakyaditti, Silabhata Paramasa Vicikicca, we don't notice the obvious. We can be completely mad, caught in all kinds of delusions that are totally untrue, just creations of total ignorance and fear, and believe every mad thought, every emotion that we're, be attached, believe, get caught in indulging or suppressing. But this immanent awareness it's not, even madness is seen. It's like this, rather than in trying to suppress crazy thoughts or indulge in them. Or say that I'm crazy because I have some crazy feelings or thoughts at this moment. Craziness, madness is like this. So you're observing this feeling of madness is like this. So that which is aware is not mad, is it? Maybe the condition that you're aware of at this moment is crazy, but that which is aware of it is not. And as soon as you apply the Sakya Ditti to it, I'm crazy, then it becomes, then you've lost it. You actually become a crazy person because you've attached to that identity, that condition. But as soon as you remind yourself the way it is, mindfulness, path to the deathless, the gate to the deathless is open, Bhutto, Dhammo, Sangho, then these are skillful means, words that remind you to look at it from this position rather than from attachment, habit, identity, fear. Then the sound of silence. So this is just a review to remind you the posture, the breath. Observe the state of mind, the mood, and the sound of silence. Or as you develop sound of silence more, then you just start with that. You don't have to, the sequence isn't, you have to do body first and then you're grasping what I'm saying. Ajahn Sumedho says, start with the body awareness, then you go to the breath, then you kind of observe your mental state, and then sound of silence. That's the thinking mind, isn't it? You can't have all at one moment, How do you say, breath, body, and mood, the words, thinking is linear, so you have one thought at a time. One thought moment at a time. So you can't think sound of silence and breath at the same moment. But you can observe at the same moment, here and now. So this linear process, dualism of the thought of thinking is like this. You can't have two thoughts in the same moment. And then thinking also, the habit of thinking is based on, the grammar, and so one word goes on to the next. And so the chattering mind, the heedless kind of proliferating thinking process, it goes on, associate. So, you just wander around this thought and then stimulates the next one and on like that. So one can be caught in this proliferating thinking habit. It's a habit, thinking becomes a habit rather than a useful tool to use. And then it's easy to believe what we're thinking. So, you feel, somebody does something, somebody says something, insults you, and says something rude and insulting and untrue. And so then you think, you get angry, you say, it's his fault, he's a liar, malicious, and I'm suffering because he's spreading bad rumors about me. Or, then that's the Sakya Ditti, you have no right to spread bad rumors about me. And you should be punished for it. And I'm going to see that you pay for that. Revenge, vendetta, I'm not going to let you get away with that. I'm going to pursue you and make you suffer and admit you're wrong. I'm going to push your nose into the mud, humiliate you, and then my revenge. It's all Sakya Ditti, isn't it? Because maybe you are. Maybe you're a malicious, nasty person that goes around telling lies and saying horrible things about very good people like myself. Now, if this happens, then it's unfair, it's not right, it's wrong, I'm right, I'm absolutely right, you're wrong. You should never have said that was malicious, and you should apologize. All this is true. Say, if this actually happened, I'm absolutely right, and I'm right because I know you're wrong. You should never, you told a lie, you said something out of malice, evil intentions, and you should apologize, and you should be punished for it. Absolutely right. But being right in this case is still Sakya Ditti, isn't it? And so even though I'm right, it's not liberating to be right. So observing this, the way it is, this feeling of I'm right is like this. Now when you contemplate this sense of being I'm right is like this. And you should apologize, and I'm right, it's like this. Because you should. And then you see, I'm believing all my shoulds and the sense that I'm right, and I know I'm right. So I'm not going to, give in. I'm going to stick to what's right at all costs. So then, the wars begin. So this is like the way it is, observing this sakyaditi, I'm right, even when I am right, on this conventional level, is like this. Is this a peaceful feeling? Feeling right and about things? Is this lead to peace, towards liberation? To have to be right, or to grasp this sense of I'm right as a position that one indulges in. So you kind of observe, does this lead towards liberation, freedom, peace? Well, from my experience, it doesn't. It just reaffirms this delusion of I am this person that's right, and that and when you're wrong, then then I feel this resentment, and that I'm not going to, I'm not going to speak to you anymore till you apologize and make amends, and then, whether I forgive you or not, something else. So it gets into, righteousness and action, speech, and then we start telling our friends, about this malicious person, and you're trying to get sympathy and gang up on him. I'm not speaking to so-and-so anymore because he's spreading malicious rumors about me, and I expect you not to speak to, if you're going to be my true friend, which you said you are, you will not speak to that person either. Goes into, blackmailing and all kinds of complicated, miserable mental states. So that's where, this vipassana, looking into the nature of things, of dukkha, attachment to conditioned phenomena is suffering. And this you have to see from an intuitive, this isn't another statement to grasp, but intuitive, observing is when I'm right and I'm attached to being right, is this lead to liberation or peace? It reinforces more than anything my personality, the sakyaditi. That, this sense of I'm right reinforces, makes this sakyaditi even stronger. You scream out to the world, I'm right. It becomes a kind of obsession. And that's not peaceful. It leads to, just more division, more anger, resentment, states of, seeking to avenge, to get even, to punish. None of these lead towards liberation. We all understand that emotion. It's human emotion, but our relationship to it now is the knowing, the Buddho knowing Dhamma, rather than me trying to seek justice in the world and punish the evildoers and reward the virtuous. So this is, for you to investigate, is that I'm right, is this a peaceful, does this lead to liberation? And this increases the sense of me on this ego level. I know people that always have to be right. They thrive on being right, and they're very unpleasant to be around. So anyway, check this out for yourself. See if I'm right. So this is what, with the Sakyaditi, to observe the sense of being, being this person, this separate, this body, this personality, even in its good aspects, not just being self-critical, but, identifying with goodness and wanting, you hear people kind of whinging, saying, why can't we be peaceful? Why do we have to quarrel? I just want to learn how to get along and live in harmony and peacefulness. And that is not peaceful either, is it? A kind of irritating whinge. So the way it is, the desire for peace and harmony is like this. Not wanting, let's say, when your communities or families or spirit rock, when there's disharmony. I don't want it to be like this. I wish all the meditation teachers would just respect each other, support each other, help each other, and not just quarrel and compete and gossip. Why can't we all just be good Buddhists and live in perfect harmony? But that's not the way it is. Things change, conditions change, so things go through cycles. Sometimes peace, sometimes disharmony, and so forth. This is just the way the conditioned realm is. You're never going to get, permanent harmony from conditioned phenomena. That's an ideal maybe, but it's not the way things are. So then the awareness, which is the gate to the deathless, the unconditioned. And this is why, this sense of refuge in this awareness, in Bhutto, Dhammo, Sangho. Because this is a wanting or not wanting, or right and wrong, good or bad. But it isn't trying to annihilate that either. It's not, denying or trying to get rid of thoughts or destroy conditioned phenomena, but it's knowing. And so it embraces everything rather than separates. So the mindfulness is the way, this word sati sampajanya is a human door to liberation. And when you contemplate this, there's no other possibility. You can never be liberated through conditioned phenomena, no matter how refined you can make it. And then this sense of karma, we have the karma. Each one of us has to live with the way we are. And our karma is, we have different feelings, different experiences, different conditioned attitudes, different cultural attitudes, generational attitudes, racial attitudes, and on like this. So these are all different. And how can you make all this harmonious, you know, unless we, you try to maybe condition everybody, like in Brave New World, or to kind of think the same thing, and try to make everyone, like, manufacture tin soldiers. Everybody is exactly the same. But in terms of the law of karma, that's an ideal maybe, but that's not the way things are. On the level of karma, of personality, appearance, and all this, we're all different. And then, groups have their karma. So, like identifying with being Jewish, just that has its own, even if you don't see yourself as Jewish anymore, just by, if someone else thinking you are, then you have the karma of that. So when anti-Semitism arises, then even if you become a Roman Catholic, you're still experiencing the karma of being Jewish, because that's just the way it is. We see each other in these kind of generic terms or fixed terms, absolutizing. So being American, isn't it? You think, Americans aren't so popular these days outside. So, I always use my British passport these days. They aren't like much either, but this is, whether, you're liberal, open-hearted, enlightened American, we still have the karma of that identity, in terms of karma. So I mean, but it's not, we can make it into a problem, or, we can think it shouldn't be. And it's right, we shouldn't be judged by those perceptions, but it's the way it is. Until every human being is enlightened. So don't wait for that to happen, you do it. So now the Muslims, the Islamic terrorism, makes all Muslims look bad, doesn't it? So, then everybody thinks all Muslims are terrorists. So that they feel very threatened this time because of these fanatics. Because then we assume that we say Islam is, they promote violence, and we believe these perceptions, and that creates this sense of they're bad, they're wrong, don't trust a Muslim. And then even people that look like Muslims that aren't affected. So I remember years ago, the London Underground, they had these bombers in the London Underground. And London went really paranoid. And then I was at Chitters at the time, and we had a young Mexican man who had a dark beard and a backpack, and he's leaving Chitters to go to London. I said, right now I don't think you better go because you look too much like a Muslim terrorist. Because they'd killed one Brazilian man, in the London Underground, just because he looked like an Islamic terrorist. The police had murdered him right in the London Underground, just on this, because he looked like one. Well, this is karma too. How the prejudices, the the way we're easily, like demagoguery, in that we can be manipulated emotionally through fear. You can, create, hatred towards a group of people because people don't reflect and don't know what they're doing. So you can always, say things in a way and have facts to support it, that this group of people are evil and should be punished or annihilated. So the awakened consciousness, if one is prone towards prejudice or believing all this gossip or these views of others, we begin to we're investigating from this position of Bhutto, Tammo, Sangho, rather than trying to figure out who's right and who's wrong. So the karma also of being born, we have to get old. If we don't die when we're young, then we get old. And then old age brings its problems and death. So this awareness of karma, you see, so the personality, the Sakyadhita is all karmic. It's about conditioning. And when we attach to it, then we become like that. We become, whatever we attach to, we become that way. So in recognizing the ignorance and attachment, then that which recognizes and observes is not ignorant, is not personal, not a self, but it is real. It's not another illusion. So that's where sati is the path to the deathless. This mindfulness is this. It's real. And then the words like the unborn, uncreated, these are not words to grasp and believe in, but they're to reflect upon. This, if this is then this awareness, if it isn't created out of ignorance, and one is encouraged to wake up, then consciousness itself is like this. Consciousness is not cultural or personal. So consciousness is being able to know things as they are. So it's a knowing, insightful knowing, rather than knowing about everything. So it's here and now. There's intelligence, discernment, and from this comes compassion and joy, metta, karuna, mudita, upekkha. And this accepting the way it is, this can be misleading too. Because anything, then it easily goes into this kind of passive resignation. Everything's working out as calm. There's nothing you can do. Just just accept it, resign yourself to it. And that. When you look at that state of mind, what can I do? The world's like this. Nothing you can do about it. You might as well just eat, drink, and be merry. Not worry about it, because nothing you can do anyway. So just forget it. That's when you look at that mental state. That's Sakya Ditti. That's not wisdom. That's not leading to liberation. It's like a passive resignation. Or, so it's indifference or just pushing away. Where the way it is, accepting the way it is doesn't mean approving or liking, but to really understand something, you have to accept it. Like suffering, your own suffering, you have to admit it, you have to accept it. It's like this before you can understand it. You have to be willing to admit that the suffering is this way. Then you're accepting it, you're receiving it, you're noticing, you're fully with it. So in the problems of the world, like the tragedy in Burma, it's not accepting it. It isn't just say, well, nothing you can do, and that. But it's also to accept it means to fully look at it and how that tragedy affects you. So you're not operating out of Sakya Ditti, anger and hatred. Then your ability to respond as an individual is much better than just reacting, or just saying nothing I can do, just forget it, or getting caught up with intense anger and wanting to punish the evildoers, or and be blaming, and then our ability to respond to the needs and contingencies of the present, are diminished when we're just caught in anger and blaming and resentment, even though they might be justified. So this is where this mindfulness is it doesn't mean that everything goes right, and that it isn't a kind of magic formula that makes heaven out of hell, but it allows us to respond through action, speech, and that with wisdom rather than just reacting from our own Sakya Ditti views. So accepting someone, a malicious person, accepting them doesn't mean you approve or you ever like them personally, but you can, this acceptance, you have to admit that maybe that you feel like this when this malicious, gossiping person, when that name is mentioned, then you feel like this. You're aware, you're willing to feel. You're willing to be aware of what you're feeling. But you're not grasping that feeling and operating from that feeling. So then then the wisdom, spontaneity, things like this can operate through these individual human forms. It can't operate if we're still bound into Sakya Ditti, and that will always, even if we try hard to help, we out of Sakya Ditti, we cannot really understand the real problems. We're just operating what I think they need, what I want them to have, which might not be what they need at all. Because Sakyaditi can be very arrogant and proud, I know what they need. I know their problems, and so I'm right, and you just, do what I say. You can really increase the suffering through believing in this sense of, I know what you need. It becomes patronizing, and it blinds you to what really is necessary, what is possible in terms of practical help or relief of difficult situations. Just like the invasion of Iraq, isn't it? The intention, give the Iraqis good old American democracy. That we think it's vastly superior to what they have, and that it'd be good for them to have this same freedom we have. So it's this is, but we by operating from this position, we made a mess. So I mean, it's and there are other factors involved in all this too. But I mean, even on the idealistic level of wanting to help get rid of a nasty dictator, an oppressive tyrant, we all, nobody can defend or, justify Saddam Hussein. So he's a perfect villain. You couldn't find any more worthy of everyone's hatred. And so it really, it's easy to direct, and he was a nasty bit of humanity. So I mean, and then that, we've got to get rid of him. Now notice it's getting rid of, annihilating the evil forces. That's evil itself, isn't it? So when we, out of righteousness, we want to kill the devils, we're actually becoming devils ourselves. So I mean, it's like this revenge and punishment and killing off the wicked, burning the witches and killing the heretics. And it's done in maybe very righteous attitudes because of this dualism of thinking, good as opposed to evil. They're polarized. They're so you get rid of one to protect goodness, you get rid of evil. But it doesn't work. Because in the very act of killing off, then we're actually committing an evil act. So I mean, it's we're you can hear Mara going, fool them. All those righteous people, going off killing the evil dictators. I've succeeded. And so this is, and you see this in the Bible, the Old Testament. They, go and kill the enemy, dash their heads against the rocks, and don't let any of them live. And so if you're always quoting scripture, you can justify killing the enemy. But in terms of panya, this is where, to see, is killing the enemy what is the result? When you suppress, when you try to kill your evil thoughts, or resist, or try to, and you end up suppressing, don't you? You reject, you suppress, you resist evil out of ignorance. Does it lead towards liberation or just more fear? And out of fear then we can act, we can react in very unskillful ways to situations. So with awareness then we have this perspective on good and evil, accepting both equally. So it's like metta, allowing things to be what they are. Evil is like this. Hatred, desire to punish and persecute, to torture, to get even is like this. And so when such feelings arise, accept them and notice them. It's like they're like this, and then inquiring, and does this lead to liberation, peacefulness? Now, they're not peace. When you grasp the desire for revenge, no matter how justified you might feel, it's not a peaceful mental state. It can be an obsessive drive to, for violence and justice and revenge and punishment. This is not a peaceful condition to grasp, but we all have it, in varying degrees. So it's observing it, being the knower of it. It's a condition. It is what it is. It's like this feeling of righteous indignation, wanting to seek revenge is like this. Then you begin to notice just that feeling, this sakyaditi feeling of anger and resentment is like this. So you're observing like the citta, the state of mind. It's agitated. It's not, and if you grasp it, then you get pulled into it. So today, this is just encouragement to reflect, and everything is the path then. As anger, revenge, malice, the whole thing, all conditioned phenomena is developing the path. When we see it from this perspective of Buddho, of awareness. So every moment that you're aware is actually the path, the Majjhima Patipata. So don't despair if you forget and get caught up in all your habits. Then you can think, oh, I've lost it, or my meditation's terrible, and you believe that one too. But just think, whatever this moment, as soon as this awareness, you see what you're doing, it's like this. That's the path. This is the way of liberation. This is non-suffering. So it's not a matter of having a sotapanna experience and then, it's just easy going from there on. Or you read about, to attain sota, you hear all these different attitudes about what stream entry is, and who is and who isn't. And then you've got to have this certain experience that everybody's trying to get. Now just notice that this is what you're grasping, what the teacher says, or what you've read in scripture, what you feel is right, Orthodox Buddhism or whatever, it's not to deny it, but the sakyaditi of it, of grasping this, what others say, or creating this idea that a sotapanna, I've got to do this in order to become a sotapanna. This is the basic problem. This is the obstruction to sotapanna, isn't it? I've got to get rid of the 3 fetters in order to become a sotapanna. That's not it. So that there's 3 fetters is, so you don't ever become a sotapanna, but as you recognize and understand the 3 fetters, then that's natural state. Sotapanna is a result of understanding sakyaditi, silabhatra paramasa, vicikicca, not becoming. It's not about becoming, you're an advanced meditator because you're a sotapanna, is sakyaditi again. So, your personality is not going to become a stream emperor. So, personalities are like this, and they arise and cease. So it's the worldly attitude is becoming and taking the stream entry and arahantship as a kind of, like a BA, MA, PhD program. It's not like that. It's about awaken, observing, it's relinquishing, it's not attaining. You don't get anything, you don't achieve it, you recognize, realize more and more. And then you realize Dhamma more and more, and your confidence in Dhamma isn't sakyaditi, but it's based on wisdom rather than on belief, clinging to a belief about Buddhism.